An active pattern continues with another powerful storm likely over the next 10 days. Welcome in, everybody. Great to see you on this Thursday. Hopefully we're having an all right day out there. And boy, oh boy, what a year it has been so far in the world of weather. We've had record Gulf Coast snow. We had a blizzard a couple days ago, heavy rain in the east, severe weather, and a spoiler alert, I think we're going to do it all again here in about 7 to 10 days from now. Got my eye on another storm system potential that once more could bring very active weather, including that severe weather and winter weather combination, depending on where you're watching from. And now, if you haven't already, go ahead, like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell for the latest notifications. It's a great way to stay up to date as we continue tracking this very active time period. And again, you're definitely going to want to have the bell on, so you're up to date with the latest model guidance as we get it in. I'll have daily updates for you as we continue to track this time frame. Now, I also want to say thank you to our channel members. Appreciate you folks. Mean the world to me. And without you, this channel would probably not run nearly as smoothly as obviously your support means a lot. So if you want to become a channel member as well, you can hit the join button next to the subscribe button, and that would be greatly appreciated. All right, folks. So let's go ahead and dive on into things now. Obviously, you can see on the map here, this is the latest run of our GFS model showing that potential for another big storm. And honestly, very similar to the one we just had kind of on some of the models. Now, obviously, this is about 7 to 10 days away, like I mentioned earlier. So a lot of details to iron out here. There's going to be wrinkles in the forecast that we need to figure out. But the signal for something similar, at least to what we just saw, is there. And this one could have more severe weather. It could have more snow. It could have less severe weather or less snow. Those are the things we need to figure out. The exact track and intensity we need to figure out. But definitely you can see the storm signal is there. Now, today's kind of photo Thursday, if you will. This is actually a photo I took a couple days ago. For those of you who are regulars on the channel and you missed it, I was in New York City over the past couple of days, taking a little vacation, and was an absolute blast. So I know I've got a lot of viewers from the Northeast. I'm sure many of you have been to New York City. This was my first time. Really enjoyed it. This was a picture I took from One World Observatory, kind of looking back towards Midtown and towards the Empire State Building there, and plenty of other skyscrapers. So definitely a concrete jungle. And as a South Carolina boy growing up in a more rural area, definitely very awesome to see the different cultures and architecture and all those sorts of things. And I think a trip I'll have to take again at some point. But just want to throw that in here. That is why I haven't had a video over the past couple of days. I mentioned it a couple times on the channel, so hopefully you got the memo. If you didn't, though, there you go. You have it now. So with that said, though, we'll go ahead and start talking about the weather again. I just wanted to throw that little personal update in there during the video. Now, current satellite loop, we've got a couple areas of active weather. Now, what you see in the east here, this is the leftover of our big storm we had over the past couple of days. I can tell you, I flew out of New York City last night from LaGuardia, and it was very rainy. It was pretty windy as well. In fact, my flight got delayed multiple times, which is one of the reasons this video is coming out in the afternoon instead of the morning. But that's what's left of it now, kind of pooling offshore. And it was a pretty feisty storm. We had really strong wind. We had blizzard conditions. We had severe weather. Really did it all with that storm system. But behind it, another storm getting going in the Rockies. And this one not going to be as large as the storm from yesterday, but we are still going to see very high-end impacts for some folks out of this one, including higher-end winter weather impacts. In fact, currently we have winter storm warnings up, for portions of the country. So all these pink boxes you see back towards Nebraska, into Wyoming, even into Colorado, Utah, really just the Rockies in general, those are winter storm warnings again in the pink, and winter weather advisories into the purple. So winter weather going to be pretty easy to come by back out that way over the next couple of days. And then all these kind of beige boxes and kind of Dijon colored boxes here in the east, those are wind warnings or high wind warnings and wind advisories. So what's left of the other storm, that pressure gradient still kicking up plenty of wind, and you're feeling it out there. Trust me, I can tell you it's pretty windy here in Charlotte. We're not even under an advisory. So if you go back out towards western North Carolina, up through the Appalachia chain into the Northeast, including New York City, Newark, back down towards Philly, Baltimore, DC, and then all the way up I-95 towards Boston. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty windy Thursday out there as what's left of that storm continues to kick it up. And then all these kind of bright hot pink colored boxes, these are red flag warnings. We've had a pretty rough start to fire season here for some areas. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, back towards Horry County, they've had a wildfire burning for about a week or so now, and continues to cause trouble. So, definitely something that we've had to worry about. Now, we got some much needed rainfall from yesterday's storm system. However, the wind now kicking up behind it, that's making it again, kind of feisty out there for those firefighters. So a lot going on out there right now. And obviously, we're going to talk a lot about the long range rather. And right now, we've got pretty active weather for many folks. And with that said, let's go ahead and kind of break it down for you a little bit more here. This is the latest run of our high-resolution rapid refresh model for this evening. And yeah, I told you out west it was active. Sure enough, look at all these snow showers from Wyoming all the way back down into the Sierra Nevadas, back through the Four Corners. Yeah, we're going to see some pretty good snowfall over the next little bit. And those winter storm warnings, I think they're definitely going to verify. In fact, blizzard-like conditions not out of the question here through a stretch of Nebraska. As you can see, we've got the strong low pressure around 990 millibars. That's pretty deep, especially for a Colorado low. Normally they start to crank up right here. This one's already pretty strong right there near the Denver area and going to move into portions of Kansas and Nebraska overnight tonight. You can see that here on our future cast. A big shield of snow beginning to develop, I think, by this is about midnight or so. So well into the evening and into the overnight through southern South Dakota, northern Nebraska, back into Wyoming, and then through the Four Corners and through the Rockies in general. Going to see some pretty good snow showers overnight tonight, and then tomorrow morning, this is probably going to be the peak of it, this strong low pressure with our kind of cool conveyor here bringing plenty of moisture. It's going to be moderate to heavy blowing snow through Nebraska, South Dakota, getting into portions of Iowa here. We've got snow back down into Utah, Colorado. Throughout the day tomorrow, that continues, and this storm kind of pulls away, and you'll notice it ends up really being two storms. We've got the one storm in Nebraska, and then after that, look at the Four Corners. This is tomorrow evening and afternoon really out west, beginning to blossom on radar here. Plenty of blue showing up on the map, and this is a new area of low pressure. It's going to kind of reinvigorate itself as we've got some upper level dynamic support here. And check it out, snow breaking out through really all of the Four Corners as that low pressure deepens. This would be tomorrow evening into the overnight of Friday, and then check it out Saturday morning here. Yeah, we could get snow into the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma. Would not surprise me. In fact, you could see a nice little snowstorm trying to get going there. This gets us all the way to Saturday afternoon. Now let's bring it to the east a little bit here. We're going to switch models here. This is the latest North American model. We'll time it out the same way. Active weather out here. We've got snow showers into the Apps here from the Finger Lakes all the way down into, or up into the Adirondacks rather, down into the Alleghenies, the mountains of West Virginia. A couple snow showers going to be very possible this evening. Not a huge deal, and I know this is probably overdoing it a little bit. Just a side effect of the model here, but definitely a couple snow showers in that area. But notice the bigger deal is that storm system on the way. Here we go. By tomorrow morning and afternoon, we've got snow showers trying to break out here into central Iowa, northern Illinois. Maybe Chicago could get a couple flakes out of this. Not expecting a huge deal, but definitely snow going to be more plentiful back towards Nebraska. And then this storm kind of continues to push east through the Ohio Valley, loses steam, begins to weaken, but I do expect some snow showers to make it into northern Indiana, northern Ohio, potentially into western PA, southern New York. Again, not a snowstorm by any means, but some snow showers could be scattered about here for your Friday afternoon and evening. And then comes the next storm. Here's that snow breaking out into Texas and Oklahoma Panhandle, and even a little bit of kind of some northwest flow left over from the previous storm into West Virginia. Got some rain into Kentucky here Saturday morning. This storm begins to strengthen along the Gulf Coast and changes from a wintry event in Texas and Oklahoma to just a good old-fashioned cold March rain, I think, through much of Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and then gets into the Carolinas. Going to be a pretty raw Sunday. Now, Saturday looks pretty nice ahead of this thing, but Sunday, gonna be a bit of a flip-flop weekend. So really nice Saturday for most folks. Sunday changes back over to that cold rain for much of us in the Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, even Louisiana, Arkansas, Florida, and Tennessee as well. So definitely active weather on the way there. Now let's talk snowfall totals. How much snow are we going to get out of this? Well, you can kind of see the swath. This is just the next 3 days. Let's zoom into a couple hot spots. One hot spot up here into Wyoming and into Nebraska. I told you this area was going to be a big winter. Yeah, check it out. Casper, nearly half a foot to a foot of snow. Not out of the question. Into Hot Springs, Chadron, Scottsbluff, even into Riverton. This kind of corridor, I think this is where we're going to get the heaviest of it, about 6 to 12 inches of snow. From northwestern Nebraska into really the heart of Wyoming. Going to get a pretty good little snowstorm out of this. In fact, March, one of the snowier months out here, especially into the Denver area. Speaking of it, let's move the map south here. Yeah, a lot of snow coming for Flagstaff back down to Show Low. Zoom into some more communities here into Arizona. We're talking about a foot and a half. That's definitely going to be enough. You notice it out here and kind of the highest peaks here just to the north and northeast of Phoenix. and then kind of White River going to get some big totals as well. Really right through the Four Corners in general. Northern New Mexico going to get snow, and then check it out. The panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma, Amarillo, the model's coming in with about 3 or 4 inches of snow. I think that's about right here. Not a terrible forecast to go off of. And then you notice the snow winds down through the southeast, where we're going to be a little bit too warm. But you go back north again, check out Omaha, back into Sioux City, a couple inches of snow, not out of the question, especially up towards Sioux City. And then Chicago, an inch, maybe an inch or two of snow, not out of the question. I think going to be more of a scattered snow shower, probably dusting to an inch. But some of the models having a higher end band here from Waterloo up north of Davenport through the Chicago area and kind of up into Milwaukee. And then as you go east here, I know the map's not loading, but trust me, not a lot going to be back out this way towards Pittsburgh. Just maybe a couple snow showers. Same thing for the mountains here of West Virginia up into the northeast. And again, I know the map for some reason not quite working. Oh, there it goes, just loaded. But yeah, basically what I said, not a whole lot on the way out here. Some of the higher terrains, though, could pick up a quick dusting to an inch of snowfall. And that leads us to what's next. So that's kind of the near term-ish, the next couple of days. After that, though, I see active weather continuing. Now, we'll go and pick up, this is Saturday afternoon, our upper level vorticity map from the GFS American model. Here's the big storm that's going to bring some of that snow to Texas and Oklahoma through the panhandle, and then just kind of some showers through the southeast. That's this weekend. You can see that kind of works on through here, a potent little piece of energy, but not going to cause huge issues for most of us east of the Mississippi. Now, behind it, another storm system barrels into Southern California, and this is by next Tuesday afternoon. A pretty feisty looking storm there. You just wait, though. You think that one's a big deal. Look what comes behind it, and this is what I'm watching. This is about a week from now, next Friday. A big trough, a big piece of energy, a big storm possible with it, all the way down into the Rockies, eventually ejecting up into the plains. And folks, this one gets feisty on a lot of the models. The GFS and the European both showing a similar outlook here with just a huge amount of vorticity, a very strong storm signal, right again around the 7, 8, 9, 10-day time frame, and then works all the way through the east and just looks like an absolute cinnamon bun or like a tire rolling through the country. That's probably what the storm is going to do. It's going to roll right on through and bring pretty high-end impacts if the models are correct. Now, they got the last storm pretty well right, at least in the overall structure of it. Obviously, we had, maybe a little bit less severe weather than once thought, but the storm generally verified, all things considered. This one could do the same. Again, this is the GFS. The European model shows basically the same thing. I'll save you the trouble of showing it. I will show you this. These are the European ensembles showing that height anomaly in the atmosphere. Blue are pockets of cold air. The orange are pockets of warmer air, or orange is ridging and the blue and purples are troughing, if you want the more scientific term behind it. Well, this is this weekend. Again, here's Saturday. Not hard to find our trough, bringing that snow down into New Mexico, Colorado, Texas, Oklahoma. You can see why it's happening. You've got a storm and the blue. That's good enough of a reason to get some snow in early March. Now, behind it, a bit of a warm-up. Notice this kind of trough gets kicked out to the east and the ridge takes over. I see a warmer start to next week for most of us, but then comes that secondary storm system down into California, kind of gets swallowed up pretty quickly here. Definitely a little bit of a trough. You can see it's potent enough that it's showing up here with our trough axis, but generally speaking, gets caught under a ridge or just an area of less troughing to the north. So I don't think it's going to bring a huge shot of cold air or anything, but could bring a storm system early to the middle of next week. Maybe some severe weather with that one. We'll see. Probably not so much on the winter weather side of things. And then behind it comes the mother load, the big trough. And I'll pause it here. This is next Friday afternoon. Folks, another classic signal for a major March storm system. You can see this ridging in the east. That's going to bring a lot of warm air. It's going to feel like spring troughing in the west. That's going to bring a lot of cold air. And, just like elementary school meteorology lessons, you get cold air and warm air and they start to clash. Yeah, that's a recipe for trouble. And I think that's exactly what this is going to bring. Again, right around March 14th. What is the old saying? Beware the Ides of March. Yeah, right around that time frame, right before St. Patrick's Day. We're going to need to watch this one. Could be a troublemaker in that time frame. I'll show you some models here. What could this look like at the surface? Well, here's the GFS depiction. We'll move it through early next week. Here's the first storm system. This is the smaller one next Tuesday. Bring some rain into Southern California, some rain and snow into the Four Corners. Then kind of dries up, gets a little bit of precipitation out through the southeast, could bring a little bit of severe weather. We'll watch, I'll keep you updated. And then here comes the bigger storm, a whole bunch of Rocky Mountain snow, and then really gets going through the central plains. Look at this, 978 millibars right over portions of Kansas, bringing blizzard-like conditions on one side and severe weather on the other side. So the usual structure here, here's where the snow would be in the black, and then here's where the severe weather could be there in the pink colors. So, we'll figure it out, but definitely a strong signal on the GFS for a big storm. Kind of cuts inland, much like the last storm, crosses all the way through the northeast, then another shot of cold air behind it. Now, the European model, pretty similar looking here, in all honesty. We'll start this next Tuesday morning. There's that little storm in California, kind of gets swallowed up a little bit, again, reemerges a little bit in the east and brings the potential for maybe a little bit of severe weather, of some rain at the very least, I think, by next Wednesday, Thursday. And then comes the big storm. Same idea, same kind of strength, a little different on the placement, a little bit further north here with the snow, but the severe weather kind of in the same area there, and then the snow on the backside with blizzard conditions possible through the Dakotas, Nebraska. Again, we're really wherever this thing sets up, it's where the blizzard conditions are going to be on the western side of the storm, and the northwestern side is where you get those ingredients kind of line up. And then same thing kind of works on through, and a shot of cold air in about 10 days behind it. I say cold, obviously not Arctic by any means. We'll be kind of halfway through March at that point. So, take the word cold with a grain of salt. So what about snowfall? Let's talk about the potential for snow. These are the ensembles from the European. You can see a blow up of snow chances by next Wednesday, Thursday into the Rockies. Check out the Sierra Nevadas, already an ensemble mean of more than a foot or two of snow. I think that's probably going to verify. And then you can see another signal for it as it gets into the plains. Someone in the Dakotas, Nebraska, Wyoming, Colorado, Minnesota, up into the prairies of Canada, somewhere in there, probably going to get blizzard conditions. Maybe everywhere in there, maybe only a couple places in there, but that's probably going to happen here. You notice, so not a lot of snow for the east, as this kind of pulls up into Canada. Classic cutter type storm system really keeps the northeast or the southeast or the Ohio Valley from any type of big snow, given the current track. Now, could it change? Absolutely could. In fact, it probably will a little bit, but need a pretty drastic change for it to, veer from this general idea that we're looking at. Other things, severe weather. Is that going to be a problem? Well, could be. Here's the European ensemble kind of ingredients for severe weather. Notice a little flare up on Saturday. That storm system over Texas, Oklahoma could produce some severe weather down into Texas, Louisiana this weekend. Probably not an outbreak or anything, but looks to be the possibility of a couple strong to severe storms, and even gets into Florida by Sunday and into Monday. We'll get a little bit of a lull. You can see things stay quiet, and then another flare up by next Wednesday, Thursday. That's storm system number one. That's not even the bigger storm. You can see right there through Dixie Alley, the Mississippi River Valley, and then another flare up with the bigger storm in about 10 days or so through some of the same regions. So generally speaking, severe weather going to probably over the next 10 days be somewhere in this circle. I know that's a big circle. It's just that time of the year, though, where we got to figure it out a little bit closer into time. But definitely the signal for at least a couple severe weather days over the next 10 days, potentially big time severe weather, maybe an outbreak. Again, I say maybe because it's 10 days out. Saw with this storm, didn't really end up being a huge outbreak, and some folks thought it might. I even said it could be, but that's the thing with severe weather. You got to get closer in time to really nail down what exactly is going to happen. Now, what about temperatures? Absolute roller coaster on the way, to be all honest, to be completely honest with you. Here's tomorrow afternoon, Friday. Areas of warm, areas of cold kind of find your place on the map. About average in the east, warmer than average down into the southern plains, cold into the Rockies. We'll go through the weekend. And again, it really depends where you're at, folks. I mean, just an absolute hodgepodge on the map, but I'll kind of pick out a couple areas right here. This is next Tuesday afternoon. I think we warm up again early next week ahead of the big storm. You can see a lot more warmer than average temperatures showing up on the map for the afternoon. And next Tuesday kind of holds on through much of next week. I think next week's going to be gorgeous for many of us in the east ahead of the storm system. Now, once the storm arrives by maybe Friday, Saturday, obviously things go downhill, but all this warmth, it could be a really nice couple of days next week. Could be dodging rain in a couple places, but very spring-like with severe weather and warmer and muggier kind of atmosphere at the surface down into the boundary layer. And then you can see here's that sharp divide. Warm in the east, cold out west by about next weekend. And then that cold air eventually going to spill into the east after our major storm, whatever it may look like, cranks up and works on through. Alrighty, folks, that's all I've got for you on this Thursday, March 6th. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'll be back tomorrow morning with another update, and we'll be back on the normal morning routines from here on out, basically, until whatever next event in my life occurs that gets changed on. But either way, appreciate it. And again, y'all have a great one. Stay safe, stay warm, and I'll see you all next time.